Good day, class. This is our last topic for midterm. ICT in governance and public service, ICT in business and employment. So for our intended learning outcomes, ICT in governance and public service and ICT in business and employment. So what is e-governance? E-governance or digital governance is the use of information and communication technology to empower government services, enhance citizen participation, and streamline public administration. So e-governance is simply the use of ICT to make the government more effective and accessible. Think of it as the government shift from paper and long lines to a digital online world. The goal is to improve the relationship between the government and its citizens by making service faster, more transparent, and easier to use. So how it works in practice? So instead of having to go to a physical office, wait in line for hours and fill out paper forms, e-governance allow you to do things like renew your driver's license online, pay your taxes from a mobile app, register a new business through a website. So this doesn't just make things more convenient. It also helps us to reduce corruption and streamline public administration by creating a digital trail for, for every transaction. So it's about using technology to empower citizens and build a more efficient and transparent government. So we have key goals or the core goals of e-governance. So e-governance isn't just about putting services online. It's guided by four key goals to aim to transform how governments operate and interact with their citizens. So efficiency, automating processes to reduce paperwork and waiting times. So it is a primary goal of e-governance by automating processes. Governments can significantly reduce bureaucracy, paperwork, and long waiting times. Instead of manually processing applications or documents, digital systems can handle these tasks instantly. This makes government services faster and more convenient for citizens while saving the government time and resources. Transparency, making government data and processes accessible to the public to combat corruption. So e-governance promotes transparency by making government data and processes accessible to the public. Online portals for government budgets, public records, project updates allow citizens to see exactly how public funds are being used. This openness helps to combat corruption and hold public officials accountable for their actions, building trust between the government and its people. Accessibility, allowing citizens to access services from anywhere, anytime. So a key promise of e-governance is accessibility. It allows citizens to access government services from anywhere at any time using a computer, tablet, or smartphone. This is especially beneficial for people in remote areas or those with disabilities who might find it difficult to travel to a physical government office. So e-governance ensures that services are available 24/7, making them more convenient for everyone. Citizen engagement. So creating new ways for people to interact with their government. Finally, e-governance aims to enhance citizen engagement. So it creates new avenues for people to interact with their government beyond just voting. So through online forums, public feedback platforms, and digital service, citizens can share their opinions, report issues, and participate in policy making. This two-way communication makes governance more democratic and responsive to the needs of the people. So, e-government initiatives in the Philippines. It was led by the Department of Information Communication Technology. So, they has launched several major initiatives to digitize public services, with the eGov PH Super App being a central project. So, what is a eGov PH Super App? So this is a one-stop mobile application that integrates various national and local government services into a single platform. It allows citizens to access services like the Digital National ID, eGovPay for secure payments, and eTravel for travel-related documents. So the eGov PH Super App is a flagship initiative that aims to consolidate a wide range of national and local government services into a single user-friendly mobile application. So instead of citizens having to download multiple apps or visit different websites for various government agencies, the eGov PH Super App serves as a one-stop shop for transaction. These key services offered with the app include digital national ID, which citizens can access a digital version of their national ID, which can be used as a valid form of identification for various transactions. The eGovPay, so we can also use eGovPay. These features allow for secure electronic payments for government fees and charges, such as taxes, permits, and licenses. It integrates with various online banking and e-wallet systems, making payments convenient and cashless. E-travel. The app also streamlines travel-related documents and processes, simplifying the requirements for both local and international travel. So the ultimate goal of the PH Super App is to cut down on long queues and bureaucratic red tape, making government services more efficient, transparent, and accessible to all Filipinos. So I'm just going to send you the link of what is a Gov Super App for you to be able to watch it, or I will just be sending it in our messenger. So, e-governance initiatives in the Philippines. So, we have that eGovDX platform and the eLGU system. So, the eGovDX platform, this is a data exchange backbone that enables different government agencies to securely share information. So, this helps to implement a once-all data entry policy so citizens don't have to submit the same documents repeatedly to different offices. So the eGovDX platform is a critical component of the Philippines e-government strategy. It's designed to act as a secure data exchange backbone, allowing different government agencies to share information seamlessly and securely. Think of it as a central nervous system for government data. So this platform is crucial for implementing a once-only data entry policy. So in the past, um, citizens had to submit the same documents like birth certificate or proof of address to multiple government offices for different transactions. But with the use of the eGovDX platform, an agency can access information already submitted to another agency, eliminating the need for repetitive submissions. This saves citizens significant amount of time and effort, making government transactions much more efficient. Next is the eLGU system. So this initiative helps local government units automate key services like issuing business permits, building permits, barangay clearances, making local transaction more efficient. So instead of manual paper-based processes, the eLGU system helps local offices digitize services such as issuing business permit. Yan, pagre-renew ng mga business, pag-apply sa business, pagre-renew, renew their permits online. So, it speeds the processes and encourage economic activity. For example, yung building permit. Okay. The system automates the application and approval processes for building permits, reducing um, bureaucratic delay, di ba? Tapos yung mga barangay clearances, residents can obtain their barangay clearances more efficiently through the system, often without needing to visit the barangay hall in person. So by empowering LGUs with this technology, the government is not only making local transaction more efficient, but also bringing the benefits of e-governance directly to communities across the country. Next is the digital ID. It is one also of the governance initiative in the Philippines. So a digital ID or the digital version of the national ID that can be accessed on the mobile phone simplifying identity verification for transaction with both government and faith institution. So the initiative has been crucial in streamlining bureaucratic processes. So the digital national ID is a major leap in e-governance, representing the Philippines government's commitment to creating a more streamlined, secure system for identity verification. So it is a digital version of the physical national ID that can be accessed and presented on a mobile phone. So through the Ego PH Super App, Ego PH Super App, this initiative is a powerful solution to a common problem in the Philippines: the lack of valid, easily accessible, and universally accepted form of identification. So why it's a game changer? So the digital national ID is crucial in streamlining bureaucratic processes and empowering citizens. Paano? It simplifies transaction. So instead of carrying your physical card, Filipinos can simply present their digital national ID on their smartphone for identity verification. It is convenience and accessibility. So this feature is a game changer for people who live in remote areas. For example, you have lost your physical ID. So with the use of the digital version, a valid ID is always one tap away as one user noted. It reduced bureaucracy. So the digital national ID's ability to be authenticated in real time through a QR code helps to eliminate the need for redundant paperwork and manual verification. Inclusivity. So the initiative is particularly helpful for young Filipinos and those in marginalized community who often have difficulty getting their first government issued ID. Di ba? Kukuha ka ng valid ID, hinahanapan ka pa ng other valid ID. But by providing your secure digital identity, 'di ba? Yung national ID mo in that your digital national ID, um, mas madali na lang yung pag-transact mo or pagkuha mo ng other IDs because of that digital ID. So the digital national ID isn't just a new card. It's a key that unlocks a more efficient, secure, and inclusive digital future for every Filipino. Next is ICT in business and in employment. So ICT has fundamentally transformed the way business operates and how people work. So it enhanced communication. Tools like email, video conferencing, and instant messaging have replaced traditional methods, allowing for real-time collaboration across different locations. So ICT tools have made communication faster and more efficient than ever before. Traditional methods like phone calls and physical letters have been largely replaced by email, video conferencing, and instant messaging. These tools allow for real-time collaboration among employees, whether they're in the same building or on different continents. For example, a global team can hold a meeting via conference without needing to travel, saving both time and money. So this connectivity helps businesses operate more smoothly and effectively in global markets. Automation of tasks. Repetitive tasks are now automated using software and AI, freeing up employees to focus on more complex, creative, and strategic work. So ICT has also enabled the automation of tasks, which has significantly improved productivity. Repetitive manual tasks like data entry, scheduling appointments, and generating reports are now handled by software and AI, or the artificial intelligence. So these automations frees up employees from tedious work and allows them to focus on more complex, creative, strategic projects that require human insight and problem-solving skills. So this shift is not only boosts efficiency but also helps business innovate and grow. So ICT has not only changed how we work but also who we work for and how companies make decisions. So the rise of ICT platforms has enabled flexible work models and introduced data as a key business asset. So the rise of gig economy and remote work. So ICT platforms enable remote work and freelance opportunities creating flexible work arrangement and a global talent pool. So ICT platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, and Grab have created the gig economy, enabling a flexible workforce where people can work on a project or task basis rather than in a traditional full-time job. So these models allow individuals to work remotely from anywhere in the world, creating a global talent pool that benefits both workers seeking flexibility and businesses looking for specialized skills without geographical limits. So this shift has fundamentally changed the traditional 9 to 5 workday and office environment. Next is data-driven decisions. So businesses now use data analytics and business intelligence tools to gain insights into customer behavior, market trends, and operational efficiency, leading to smart decision making. So businesses no longer rely on guesswork. They now use data analytics and business intelligence tools to gain deep insight into their operations, customers, and markets. So by analyzing large set of data, companies can understand customer behavior to create more effective marketing campaigns, identify market trends to stay ahead of the competition, boost operational efficiency by pinpointing bottlenecks in their processes. So this reliance on data has transformed decision making from an intuitive process into a strategic, evidence-based one, leading to a smarter business outcomes. So ICT impacts on the Philippine workplace. So the Philippines has embraced also the digital technology and its workplace, particularly its thriving business processing. Uh, the business processing outsourcing industry. It serves as as a prime example of this transformation. So what is BPO or the business processing outsourcing industry? So the BPO BPO sector, a major economic driver, is a prime example of how ICT has created new jobs. So Filipino workers use digital tools and communication platforms to provide services like customer support, data entry, and IT solution for companies around the globe. So the BPO sector is one of the most significant economic drivers in the Philippines, generating millions of jobs and contributing a substantial portion of the country's GDP. So this industry is a direct result of the power of ICT. Filipinos workers in this sector use a variety of digital tools and communication platforms like the voice over internet protocol, video conferencing, centralized customer relationship management software, to provide services to companies all over the world. So these services include customer support, data entry, IT solutions. So the BPO industry demonstrates how ICT has not only created a new jobs, but has also allowed the Philippines to become a major player in the global service economy, leveraging its digitally literate workforce to provide essential services to international clients. Another ICT transforming workplace in the Philippines is the shift to e-commerce. The rise of e-commerce has fundamentally changed how businesses operate in the Philippines, especially during the pandemic. It's providing a powerful platform for micro and small medium enterprises. Platforms like, for example, Lazadas and Shopee have become major players in the country's economy, especially talaga during the pandemic. It leveraged the ICT to create a new way of selling and buying goods. Yung Lazada, Shopee, and even the Shopee online live selling, TikTok shops, mga ganon. Shein, so ang dami-dami ng mga e-commerce nowadays. So e-commerce has been particularly transformative for Filipinos, allowing them to overcome geographical limitation na kahit na yung mga binibenta na sa ibang bansa is kaya na nating bilhin through the use of those e-commerce platforms. So instead of relying on a small local customer base, these businesses can now reach a wider market across the entire country. So this has created a level playing field, enabling small business to compete with larger retailers. So the shift has also created a host of new roles and opportunities in the digital economy. So by providing a digital storefront, e-commerce has empowered countless Filipino entrepreneurs, proving that ICT can be a powerful engine for economic growth and innovation. Remote work and hybrid models. Oh, dami nang may trabaho ngayon ng mga remote work sa kanilang bahay. So the Philippines has embraced, di ba? Flexible work arrangement with many companies in the IT and creative sectors adopting remote or hybrid work models. So this is made possible by cloud computing, collaborative software, and reliable internet connectivity. So paano nagagamit yung why it works, paano siya nag-work. For example, yung cloud computing. Okay, cloud-based services allow employees to access company data, files, and applications from anywhere with an internet connection, eliminating the need to be physically in the office. Collaborative software platforms, halimbawa like Google Workforce, Microsoft Teams, and Slack, enable seamless communication and project management, allowing teams to collaborate in real time regardless of their location. But also you need a reliable connectivity. So as internet infrastructure improve in the Philippines, it's easier for employees to maintain stable connection at home, which is essential for attending video meetings, sharing large files, and staying productive. So these technologies have not only provided a solution for business in continuity, but also empowered a more flexible, productive, and satisfied workforce. For many Filipinos employees, remote and hybrid work models offer a way to escape long commutes, achieve a better work-life balance, and reduce daily expenses. Digital upskilling. So as jobs evolve, there is a growing demand for digital skills. So the government and private sector are investing in training programs to help Filipino workers reskill and upskill in areas like artificial intelligence, data analytics, and cyber security. So this collaboration is crucial because it ensures that training programs are aligned with the actual needs of the industry. So the DIC and TESDA have partnered with private companies like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon Web Services to offer free online courses and certification programs in the fields like artificial intelligence, data analytics, and cybersecurity. So these initiatives are essential for preparing the Filipino workforce for the jobs for the future, ensuring they remain competitive in the global economy. So by proactively addressing the skills gap, the Philippines is not just keeping up with technology, it's positioning itself as a leader in the digital landscape. So challenges and limitations. So despite significant progress in its digital transformation, the Philippines still faces several major hurdles. These challenges rooted in persistent inequalities and infrastructure issues limit the country's full potential in the digital economy. First is the digital divide. So I already discussed that last meeting. So there is really a persistent gap in the internet access, digital literacy, and technology adoption between urban and rural areas. So this limits the reach of digital services and creates inequality. The digital divide remains a significant barrier. There's a persistent gap in internet access, digital literacy, and technology adoption. While cities enjoy high-speed, reliable connections, many remote and rural communities are left with slow, inconsistent, or no internet access at all. This creates a stark inequality in opportunity as it limits the reach of digital services for education, health, and commerce, leaving many behind. Inadequate infrastructure. This is one of the challenges. While improving the country's internet speed and reliability, can be inconsistent, especially in remote regions. This affects the quality of remote work and the seamless delivery of online services. The country's internet speed and reliability can be inconsistent, 'di ba? Especially dun sa mga remote region. So, nakakaapekto talaga siya sa mga quality of work, quality of especially ng mga remote work. making it difficult for employees to participate. Is, for example, merong mga video conferences or they need to collaborate on large files. Furthermore, it hinders also the seamless delivery of essential online services, leading to frustrations and delays. So, kailangan natin ng stable, ng robust na digital foundation, 'di ba? It is essential for a nationwide digital transformation to succeed. Next is the cybersecurity and data privacy. So as more government and business processes move online, they become more vulnerable to cyber threats, hacking, and data breaches. Building public trust and protecting sensitive information is a critical challenge. So when we shift to digital platforms, the it makes the government and business operations more vulnerable to cyber threats, diba? So in the Philippines, this is a significant concern, especially given the rising number of cyber attacks targeting government institutions and private companies. Um, wait lang. Okay, continuation. In the Philippines, di ba? This is a significant concern, especially given the rising number of cyber attacks targeting government institutions and private companies. Major data breaches like those targeting PhilHealth and the Philippine National Police have exposed the sensitive personal information of millions of Filipinos. So building public trust and protecting citizen data is a critical challenge. So the government has put in laws like the Data Privacy Act of 2012 to address this. But continuous vigilance and investment in stronger cybersecurity defenses are necessary to protect sensitive information. Some challenges also is another challenge is the resistance to change. So some government agencies and older employees may be reluctant to adopt new digital systems, preferring traditional paper-based practices. Overcoming this requires extensive training and change management. So despite the obvious benefits of digital transformation, some government agencies, di ba, they really prefer traditional. Yun bang natatakot sila na yakapin yung bagong pagbabago sa loob ng opisina. Kasi it really requires more than just providing new tools. It really demands extensive training, clear communication of benefits, and a focus on change management. So without a culture that embraces innovation, new digital initiatives can fail to gain traction and can be underutilized. Legal and regulatory framework. So the rapid pace of technological change uh, often outstrip the ability of existing laws and regulations to keep up, leading the legal ambiguities and governance gaps. So the rapid pace of technological change often moves faster than the ability of existing laws and regulations to keep up. So this can lead to legal ambiguities and governance gap. For example, laws written for physical transaction may not fully apply to digital ones, creating uncertainties in areas like digital contracts, um, like yung mga digital contracts, online commerce, di ba? Digital ownership. Para ma-ensure natin na smooth and secure yung digital transformation, the Philippine government must continuously update its legal and regulatory frameworks to provide a clear and supportive environment for the digital economy. So for conclusion, okay, for the summary, so the digital transformation journey, the digital divide is not a single problem, but a complex challenge with three interconnected parts, the access gap, the skills gap, the usage gap. We've seen how ICT can bridge this divide, transforming education to personalized learning and enhancing collaboration as demonstrated by the global examples, di ba? So ICT and workplace ICT and workplace has fundamentally reshaped the workplace by automating tasks, enabling remote work and driving data-driven decision. So in the Philippines, yung BPO or the business process outsourcing industry and the rise of e-commerce platforms like Lazada, Shopee, Shein, TikTok Shop, this transformation have created new jobs and opportunities, but they also require a digitally skilled workforce. So the government and private sector and responding with upskilling programs in areas like AI and data analytics to prepare Filipinos for the future of work. So e-governance, a smart government, ICT is also making government more efficient, transparent, and accessible through e-governance. Initiatives like the eGov PH Super App, eGov DX platforms, and Digital National ID are streamlining services. It reduces the bureaucracy and making it easier for citizens to interact with their government. However, challenges like inadequate infrastructure, cybersecurity threats, and resistance to change still need to be addressed. So a call to action, the path forward requires really a holistic approach, one that invests in robust infrastructure, ensures affordability, and provides comprehensive digital literacy programs for everyone. So by doing so, we can create a more inclusive and equitable society where every Filipino has the opportunity to learn, work, and thrive. So this ends the discussion. So these are the references for today's discussion. It was a privilege to share this presentation with you all today. Thank you for your time and attention. So for your questions, queries, and comments, kindly send and post it in our messenger. I hope that this presentation has given you a clearer understanding of the digital divide and the vital role that ICT and e-governance play in our country's development. Remember, the digital world is a powerful tool, and with the right skills and mindset, we can all contribute to building a more connected, and inclusive Philippines. As the saying from Nathaniel Branden, the first step toward change is awareness. The second is acceptance. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day, everyone.